It's time for another episode of The Oil Stream with Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola, presented by Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen.
Happy training camp day, everybody. What is up? Nielsen and Gazzola, and we have made it through another off season with the Oil Stream. Still banging out 2 episodes per week, getting you through there. We still got the rankings of importance. We're obviously going to continue to work our way through as we work our way through training camp. As always, the Oil Stream brought to you by the wonderful folks over at Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen. Actually, golfed last night, got in the final men's night at the quarry. You know Beecroft, our buddy Beecroft. 2 of the guys bailed, so me and Simonek went and caught up with him. Played men's night last night. And then on the way home, I did pick up some Popeye's chicken. I had a delicious Popeye's chicken sandwich last night from the West End location. And I have to say, Tommy, it really hit the spot, buddy. Nothing says final round of golf this year like a Popeye's chicken sandwich.
My goodness, poetry in motion coming out of your mouth right now. So well said. I'm sure the sandwich was the perfect way to cap off the night. Yeah.
God, it was perfect, right? It was just, it hit the spot. Had some Cajun fries. Terrific. You can also now get that at West Edmonton Mall. Open at the food court down by the theater and the pirate ship. You'll get yourself some Popeye's chicken next to the ship. So, yeah, that's big news there. We'll get to Inside the Numbers for Cool Bet coming up. Boston Pizza Appetizer is on the way as well. Hey, if you're watching on the live stream and you have any questions, feel free to fire them our way. We'll try to get to a few of those today as well. If you're watching on Twitter, but you're more of a YouTube guy, just search Nielsen Media and Entertainment on YouTube, and you can subscribe to that channel over there. Tommy, fresh off being down at the rink for the morning, anything intriguing down at Rogers Place today?
Great to be back. This is it, baby. Here we go. And we're talking preseason game on Sunday. By the way, you can catch the pre and post game show on Sunday. We're only doing 3 because of Blue Jays baseball and the playoff run. So quick note there. Ken Holland, basically, I mean, Evander Kane and Darnell Nurse spoke. Nothing great outside of Kane, dropping an expletive, talking about his contract situation. Also pointing out, too, he was kind of joking around, but he even basically said it. He was not expecting to come back. And he called the cap situation shitty, especially for a good NHL player. And he was surprised to be back with the Oilers, too. So interesting to see him peel back the curtain on that a little bit. But Ken Holland, I think, obviously stole the show today. And where do you want to start, Dusty? You take me and we'll go.
Well, let's start with Ryan McLeod, because they're on the ice tomorrow in training camp. So, a deal has to get done, and maybe there's a trickle-down effect. Maybe the next 24 hours for the Edmonton Oilers is a relatively busy period, maybe compared to some other teams. But what do you say? 2 or 3 year deal? Might have to settle for a 1-year deal here because of the current cap situation. Yeah. So, maybe it's later this afternoon. Maybe it's tomorrow morning, Tommy. But, they have literally pushed this Ryan McLeod thing to the last possible minute.
Yeah, 11th hour for sure. It still sounds like both sides want to get something done, and there's no real battle. It's just feeling out process. And Ken Holland, I believe, among the many things he said today, kind of touched on the potential trade situation that he was trying to make. And we assume, I think safely, that it was in regard to Jesse Puljujärvi. Obviously, nothing was able to be completed in that regard. So kind of forced their hand with Ryan McLeod. So, ideally, he's here. He hasn't walked away from the team. They want to get something done. Looks like it'll probably be a 1-year deal given all that's gone on. But if there's some craziness that plays out and they move someone out, then maybe he can get his 2-3 year contract. But yeah, Dusty, I think it's just a matter of them, one side just finally saying, all right, let's get this done. But it doesn't feel like there's tension or any ill will toward any side. Waiting game, and he wants to get him ready to go on the ice tomorrow.
It pretty much is coming across to me as Ryan McLeod doing the Oilers a solid, letting them try to sort out their cap situation, knowing that he's got a deal done. It's just a matter of if it's, he's got to be happy with whatever the number is, whether it be a 1-year deal, 2-year deal. Like, to me, it's just like McLeod and his agent have just said, you guys get your things in order. We're here ready to sign once you figure out what you need, which is really nice for a player to lay it out that way for them. I'm sure it gives them some a little bit of flexibility that they didn't necessarily have to have.
And the player can't hold a gun to the team's head, especially considering his body of work doesn't really command big dollar and
Yeah.
lots of term either. And we got to keep that in mind. So very casual, like the person Ryan McLeod is. And yeah, sure, we'll get something done. Let's do something. Let's not miss any time. I assume, and it sounds like that's still the case. And yes, we're getting late into it here, and they need to get this taken care of. And maybe we hear something tonight, maybe as early as tomorrow morning when we get to the rink. 9:30, they're on the ice. So still sounds like it's, tracking that way.
All right, let's get into your Boston Pizza appetizer. Of course, you've got Appy Hour daily from 2 until 5, and then again from 9 until close. And it is confirmed. Got the email yesterday. Hampton's Boston Pizza location, noon next Friday. Okay, next Friday. Not this Friday, next Friday, September 30th, Tommy.
Good, because my dad was asking. He really wants to make it out. He was one up by my mom.
Good.
And now he's like, hey, what are you guys doing the next one at BP's?
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're hammering it out right now, 28th or 30th. We're on the 30th at Hampton. So Reno Gazzola, who sometimes watches our show, I'll text you later, Pops.
That'll be great. So everybody come on by. We'll announce some details on how you might be able to get some free stuff between now and then. But put it in your calendar. Put it in your schedule. Friday, September 30th, Hampton's Boston Pizza location. That's just off the Henday, just west of the Henday. And it's going to be great. I live like 5 minutes from there. It's a perfect location. I think we might be in Sherwood Park in October. But Hampton's next Friday. We had such a good time last time.
It was awesome, and I look forward to doing it again next Friday, the 30th, at the Hamptons location. Will you be giving people the goods?
I think I'll probably give the people the goods again. Yeah.
Nice.
That was really fun last time giving people
It went
the
over
goods, right?
well.
So,
it had a nice vibe to it. So there you
I'm
go. Put it
also
out
thinking
there.
of creating some sort of draw box where people could enter for something. We
have merch, don't we?
Yeah, what's that?
We have merch, don't we?
We do have merch. I mean, I could definitely do like an Oil Stream t-shirt or something. So,
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's what we'll probably end up doing. So just a heads up, it should be a pretty good time next Friday. Make sure you roll in a little bit before noon. We'll try to get fired up right at noon again. And obviously there'll be lots to talk about with some preseason action and everything as well. So it is your Boston Pizza appetizer here on the Oil Stream. And let's continue with the Ken Holland conversation. And I was watching his comments on Jesse Puljujarvi right before I got pulled into a meeting with our boss today. So I don't know if I got the entire end of it. I hadn't had time to circle back around on it, Tommy. But I mean, anytime JP's name pops up, my ears kind of perk like an elf from that movie where they had to deliver the ring or whatever it was.
The Lord of that ring?
Yeah, that's it. That's it, Lord of the Rings.
There you go.
Do we read into it too much? What do you take away from what Ken Holland and how he kind of approached the Jesse Puljujarvi situation?
I think he, without saying it directly, kind of gave us a peek behind the curtain as well there. And he was asked if he had a meeting with Puljujarvi recently, defining his role going into this season. He said no. I think that caught my attention.
No
my ears also perked up. Nope. And he talked a lot about Jesse having to earn his spot on the team. He talked about the frustration that Jesse shared with himself and the organization and Jesse's role, how things played out at the end of last year. So I think that is telling, Dusty. There are a few other little indicators that kind of give us an idea of where Puljujarvi stands. Like, to those that are saying you need to keep this guy, Ken Holland's off his rocker, I think the way Ken Holland discussed the situation kind of painted it in a light and I don't want to say it validated what we were saying, but it shed some light on it. It's the player right now. The team wants him. But if the player is not happy, unsettled, wants more, but he's not getting what he wants, but he's not really doing anything to earn that time on the ice and that opportunity, then where are we? Well, the player's okay with a fresh start. And the organization's like, well, what do we do? We've been down this road with him. So Ken Holland talking about not having discussed Puljujarvi's role, interesting. Him saying he needs to earn it, interesting. Also alluding to the fact that Puljujarvi shared his frustration, hasn't talked to him since the end of the season. Interesting. So I think that gave us an indicator as to where things stand. And then when he talked about Ryan McLeod, Dusty, he also said that, there could be some movement around there. He talked about Fogle maybe playing the right side a little bit. He talked about Zach Hyman and where he fits in, if he's a left winger or right winger. I think that kind of also gave us a sense of them being open to moving on from Jesse Puljujarvi.
So does something get done in the next 24 hours here? Do they finally just say, like, I imagine this as a game of chicken with these other teams, whether there only be one or two of them, it's a game of chicken because they've given the Oilers their offer. The Oilers are thinking, we'll get more from them. But these guys are just waiting and being like, well, you got to sign Ryan McLeod. You got to have a team that's under the cap. When you're ready to realize we're not going to give you more, give us a call and we'll get this thing done. Like, do you think that's the path it's on here over the next 48 hours or even partway through camp? What happens here?
I don't know because, and like, again, I'll preface it with, I like the person, Jesse Puljujarvi, and I see the value that he brings. I see the potential that he has, and we've seen flashes of it. So I appreciate that too. But the fact of the matter is the demand for Jesse Puljujarvi around the league is minimal. I'm talking 2, maybe 3 teams taking a sniff. Everyone else saying thanks, but no thanks. And listen, by all indicators, it's not the Oilers asking too much. It's just teams looking at Puljujarvi and going, yeah, we see the underlying numbers. We also watch the player and see how he had a tough go in the second half. And, thanks, but no thanks. I don't even know if teams will circle back, but there just isn't an appetite for Jesse Puljujarvi around the league.
Well, somebody should buy low on him then. I mean, he's last 2 seasons over 82 games, he's averaged 20 goals and 40 points. On pace for that.
I know
there's some production there. I don't understand it. Like, the underlying numbers are great. We know that. Mm-hmm. The overall production numbers aren't bad either. He had a horrible stretch to end last season. I don't think anybody denies that, even a full-blown JP supporter like me. I mean, he was horrible down the stretch last year. But this is the exact time somebody should try to buy low on this guy. So we'll see.
Now, the hiccup with that is the cap crunch. I mean, that probably
eliminate 2/3 of the league immediately.
Exactly. And so it's kind of like confluence and a culmination of things that it really doesn't create a good situation or an ample situation to make a move here. And so it's kind of stuck in this neutral kind of position that everybody's in.
That's your Boston Pizza Appetizer on Ken Holland and what he had to say today about Jesse Puljujarvi. Make sure you go check out Happy Hour daily from 2 until 5 and then 9 until close. And make plans to join us next Friday, September 30th, high noon in the Hamptons is where we will see you for a live on location, our monthly episode of the Oil Stream. All right, a couple other things coming out, and then we'll get to inside the numbers as well. Obviously, some talk about McLeod. Whatever he had to say there about Jesse Puljujarvi. Anything else, Tommy, from Ken Holland today that really jumped out to you? I think those are kind of the main pieces. We can kind of tie it in here to Warren Foegele ever so briefly. He did say Foegele, they might look at him on the right side. So then that would mean the left side. If they're looking at Foegele on the right side, the left side is Kane, Hyman, and Nuge, is it not? Or is there still a possibility that Nuge is your third-line center?
It depends. Yeah, I think Nugent Hopkins, we hear Jay Woodcroft talk about the spine down the middle, and Nugent Hopkins, I think, penciled in as the third-line center, but the flexibility to move him around, get him up into the top 6 is a total possibility. And then, like, some things have to play. Like, what if Dylan Holloway has a great training camp, earns a spot, and stays? Could happen. They're not. I don't think he has, and it sounds like, talking to people within the organization, they're not penciling him in the way they are Philip Broberg. So Holloway would have to go in and earn a spot, whereas Broberg would have to lose his spot. So it was interesting to hear about that. And again, it sounds like, and they made it pretty clear, like it falls under what happens to Jesse Puljujarvi. Is he here? Is he not here? So we'll see. And then, so we're doing Foegele haters right now kind of thing.
Well, I mean, let's put the Foegele thing to bed, right? Like, let's give Foegele. Actually, save it. Let's get into the rankings of importance because Foegele does come up in the rankings of importance today. Okay. We are working 20 through 16 in our rankings of importance, which means over the next 3 episodes, we'll give you our top 15. Let's start. We're going to go 20, 19, 18, 17, and 16 today. As I looked at our list and compared them, really, I mean, the biggest difference we had for anybody might have been the 2, possibly 3 spots. spots. For the most part, both of our lists were pretty tight, especially down in this area. So let's start. Number 20 on the list, Matthias Janmark, who was brought in. And you know what's kind of funny? I was thinking about this morning, Tommy. They put themselves in this cap crunch here. You didn't really need to sign. Like, the team didn't necessarily need Janmark. So it kind of surprised me a little bit, unless they know that they're going to be able to move $3 million off the cap before the beginning of the season. They kind of put themselves in an unnecessary spot here in the handling of Ryan McLeod, because they were in such a hurry to get their hands on Matthias Janmark. So we have him at number 20 on the list, Tommy. I mean, what role do you expect him to be able to contribute in on this team? Because I've liked the guy at times quite a bit. I just found it interesting that they decided that he was a guy that they wanted to throw into the mix here.
Well, that comment there about going out and getting him signed, and then that leaving McLeod on the outs, I think that's also an indicator that they were trying to move on from Jesse Puljujärvi. And I'll touch on why I keep bringing up Jesse's name instead of Warren Fogel's in a little bit. But with Matthias Janmark, serviceable bottom six guy. I know he's played some center, some PK. If he can give you some pop offensively from time to time, 20, 25 points, I think that's respectable as well. Maybe moonlight if he's having a good night from time to time, a little bit higher up, or get a few extra minutes. But good teams are built on having a lot of depth, and I think Janmark is one of those guys that they identified that gives them a consistent player night in, night out, doesn't hurt them, and helps more than hurts. I think that's why they identified him and went after him like that.
Number 19 on the list, Ryan Murray, I think described by many as Broberg insurance. And, it's always good to have a little bit of insurance just in case something happens. So do you think there's a way he eventually becomes more than any type of insurance as a number 7 D-man? Like, there's not really a job to steal here, is there? Like,
no. It's like, I said it on the Smash Hit Nielsen show this morning. Like, there shouldn't be any surprises coming out of training camp outside of injury or someone playing so despicably bad. So knock on wood, injury-wise, Oiler fans. But Murray, that's Broberg insurance is a term that's been used by Oilers brass. And I don't think you're looking at a guy who's at 29 now, has been in the league for like 10 years, and expecting him to make a huge leap. He's there to provide solid minutes. And when Broberg needs a night off, or someone else does, you got Ryan Murray who can slip in there. That's about as extensive as it gets for Ryan Murray, I think.
All right, finally, to put to bed one of our ongoing bits from the offseason, we actually have time to discuss Warren Foegele today. All you Foegele haters out there who wanted him traded away, he comes in at number 18 on our list of rankings of importance for the Oilers roster for the upcoming season, right behind another veteran forward that we'll get to in just a second. But Tommy, what do you have to tie in here with Warren Foegele and maybe some versatility now in the lineup?
All right. This is for all the haters out there that have waited so patiently, and we thank you. Here we are, Warren Foegele haters. Ken Holland did talk about Warren Foegele potentially playing the right side this season. We've heard some whispers that he might also get some PK time. I know he did have some PK time in Carolina, and he's got all the tools to be a PKer, and a respectable one at that. Speed, size, decent hockey IQ, and that also kind of ties into Jesse Puljujärvi. Is why is the GM openly saying he's got a guy who played left wing and has predominantly played left wing throughout his career, sliding over potentially to the right side, because there might be a hole and availability on the right side? Well, geez, who are we talking about then? So that also might, too, Dusty, quash some of the discussions about Foegele being that other guy you could move out.
Yeah, it's interesting. I would just say this. I mean, if he likes Hyman on the left side, the right side is still just Yamamoto, Puljujärvi, and Foegele, right? Like,
well, Derek Ryan's in the mix there. Yeah. Where are you putting Ryan McLeod? Where's Devin Shore on the night?
Foegele in the top 6 on the right side? That's not happening.
No, exactly.
So it's right, like.
That's why I think you might see Zach Hyman on the right side. Like,
yeah, well, that's like originally I thought that was the plan, but when I heard say Foegele over there, and I thought I heard today like they like Hyman on the left side, right? Because I think a lot of us like Hyman on the left side. That's kind of where he belongs. So, yeah, I don't know. Interesting to see how this all sorts out. But Warren Foegele all of a sudden serves a purpose here.
Well, the fact that the GM's saying, hey, we might see him this season playing on the right side, that caught my attention. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, now you're telling us that this guy's going to be on the team. You're not saying, well, if Warren Foegele, like,
yeah,
it kind of throws out to a certain extent, not completely, that Foegele would be the guy that they would move on from. So reading the tea leaves, that's kind of what I got out of it.
All right, number 17 on the list, a guy who can take a face-off in the bottom six, which is very important. Derek Ryan ends up coming in at number 17 on this list, Tommy. Similar role to what we saw last year with Derek Ryan, do you think?
He's going to be fighting for ice time, and that's a good thing. So, yeah, he's going to have to be good on a consistent night-to-night basis to sometimes even stay in the lineup like we saw. Now, I know he obviously discussed publicly how much he appreciated playing more, getting an opportunity, having some responsibility
after
under
the
Jay
coaching
Woodcroft.
change. Yeah,
exactly. And I mean, it's pretty straight up with this guy. Like, he has to play well, be responsible, not miss his checks in the defensive zone that lead to goals. And we see him on the low corner cam, putting his head up in shame because he got scored on. That's going to have to be the key for Derek Ryan. And then PK time. So, this guy, he does get special teams time on the PK, and he does have to win faceoffs. So he's kind of there, but I think this is his last year in orange and blue.
And number 16 on the list, I think this is a great place for him because you don't want to heap too many expectations onto a young guy, but Philip Broberg comes in at 16 on this list. Tommy, if he can survive as a third pair D-man, great. If he can do more than that, awesome, right? I mean, that's basically all you can sort of expect and maybe gauge success on this year. Yeah,
it's similar to what we, expected from Evan Bouchard. Maybe the expectation for Bouchard was a little bit higher because he had more of a look with the big club, but it's kind of similar down that path, like night to night consistency, not hearing footsteps, not coughing up pucks in your own zone, physical side of the game. He's a little bit heavier, so let's see if he can use that. This is a guy that has a lot of upside. We've waited to see what he could do at the NHL level. We're going to see that now. And the progression and the growth is not going to be seamless or perfect. There's going to be rough nights and tough moments. And I'm sure I'm going to have some calls and some texts, and you will too, Dusty, saying, what was he thinking last night? That is part of the process, unfortunately. Yeah. So I think it's that type of situation for Broberg, but good to see he's arrived finally.
And you know what? If we don't get a lot of those this year, then he's a stud. It's as simple as that. Young defensemen make mistakes. If he can somehow avoid that, then you've got something really special on your hands. So we'll see how that plays out. That's rankings of importance 20-16. Janmark, Murray, Foegele, Ryan, and Broberg. 15-11 on Friday's episode. Before we wrap up today, let's get to Inside the Numbers for CoolBet. Stay cool and bet responsibly with our wonderful partners over at CoolBet. And they've actually got some point totals posted now. So this is not us speculating right now. You can go and bet these right now at CoolBet. I should also let it be known that because we know a guy at CoolBet, if there's any players that they don't have point props up, and you want them, just let us know, and I'll get them up on the site for you so you can go make a wager on them. But Tommy, let's go to the big man right at the top. 127.5 points is the number locked in right now for Connor McDavid. I think once some Edmonton money starts coming in, you might see it get bumped up a little bit higher. But Tommy, if I was to ask you right now, over or under 127.5 points for Connor McDavid, where are you going?
I'm going over. I don't doubt this player ever. And now he's kicking it into high gear. This is where it's him putting up his astronomical numbers over the course of his career over the next few years. So I'm taking the over. I think he can push to 135 if everything goes to plan and they're not losing, 15 games in the middle of the season like they did last year. I think Connor McDavid, we're talking about 130 to 135 point season, 50 goal season just because he wants to. He's that good. And I think, he won't say it, but I think he wants to shut up some of those Austin Matthews lovers.
It would be a new career high to hit the over 127.5 points, but I do believe I would be on the over here as well. And once again, you can go bet that number right now at CoolBet. Just go to CoolBet, click on NHL, player points, and you can get in there. There's a ton of players, but Connor McDavid is there at 127 and a half, finished with 123 points last year. I'm with Tommy. I'd be surprised, not disappointed, because you can't be disappointed in a guy who even drops 125 on you, but I'd be surprised if he doesn't hit 130 points if he does stay healthy this year. So that's inside the numbers for Cool Bet, and jam-packed episode of the Oil Stream today. Tommy, they skate tomorrow. They'll be skating on Friday. We'll have another episode on Friday and be able to talk about some first impressions, I guess. That sounds exciting, doesn't it?
That sounds really good. How about that third jersey or the reverse retro,
Yes.
Dusty? You like?
Yeah. No,
Daddy likes.
I liked it. You basically pieced it all together anyway, so we knew what was coming, but I do like it. I mean,
yeah,
I'm here for the Royal Blues this year anyway. Like, that's what everybody's for, but it's a nice addition to the roster, bud. I will say that. It came out a lot better than I thought it was, and I like the fact that they went with the blue as opposed to the white. I think the blue is the way to go.
Yep. I did get a message from the head of marketing from the Oilers. Not as mad as I thought. At least he hit it very well, but I just teased it. I had it. I had to get it out there, and people seem to like it. So it's a 1-year thing, this reverse retro, and I think they're going to be unveiled pretty quick here.
So yeah,
yep.
Be unveiled this afternoon. Is it going to be this afternoon?
I think it's coming up pretty soon here. So yeah, they have an event this afternoon. I don't know if it's
an event this afternoon.
Yeah.
I think at the store or something, right? So
will I see you there?
No, I've got some meetings that I have to get to. Actually, I'm going to be late for it, actually, so I have to get going.
Okay.
That's going to do it for this episode of the Oil Stream. Once again, next Friday, we'll be at the Boston Pizza in the Hamptons at noon doing a live Oil Stream on location there. And Popeye's now open in West Edmonton Mall, so go get yourself some of those delicious chicken nugs. Tommy, take us out, bud.
Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Smash that thumbs up button for Dusty and I. #influence and ain't easy, baby.
I'll talk to you guys on Friday.